Game of Thrones Season 7 will be here in 3 days. In this video, we will touch on two things: parallels between Aegon the Conqueror and Daenerys Stormborn, and then we will go over a couple theories regarding why Aegon stopped trying to conquer Dorne, relating to a mysterious letter from Prince Nymor. Please close out now if you're not caught up through Season 6 of Game of Thrones. So first, let's quickly look at the similarities between Aegon the Conqueror and Daenerys. A lot of people think that Aegon grew up in Essos, came over to Westeros and conquered it, but that's not really how it went down. Aegon's great-great-great-great-grandfather, Aenar Targaryen, actually settled down at Dragonstone, so that's 6 generations before Aegon the Conqueror. Aegon's great-great-great-grandmother, Daenys the Dreamer, grew up with her father Aenar and her brother and future hubby, Daemon, over in Valyria. But she had a vision 12 years before the Doom of Valyria, so that's why they left and settled down at Dragonstone. When the Doom happened, all the other Dragonlords died. There's a lot of cool history to go over, but I will save that for a video in the Game of Thrones 101 series. For now, I just want to highlight that Aegon was born at Dragonstone, and his family had been there for generations already. At this time, Westeros is a bunch of independent kingdoms, but even though the Targaryens lived on this little island off the coast of Westeros, they had their eyes eastward, back towards Essos. So after the Doom, power struggles eventually emerged. Specifically, the Volantines started trying to conquer other cities in Essos in what was known as the Century of Blood. So Aegon flies over to Essos on the massive Balerion the Blackdread to help defeat the Volantines. Then he flies back to Dragonstone and then decides that he's going to unite all of Westeros under his rule. So there's a loose parallel to Daenerys. They were both born on Dragonstone, and technically, he also flew back over from Essos to Dragonstone and then started conquering Westeros, but it's not identical. Daenerys has pretty much lived her entire life in Essos, whereas Aegon was physically at Dragonstone for most of his life outside some warring. And unlike Dany, Aegon had traveled around Westeros before conquering it. He visited a bunch of places, like Old Town for example. And one last thing, it's worth noting that Aegon the Conqueror was a brutal warrior. The Field of Fire is a great example. But, time and time again, he was gracious to the people who bent the knee. So that's pretty cool. If Daenerys doesn't get pulled into the war versus the undead army right away, then she'll be aiming to take back the throne to conquer Westeros. Tyrion and Varys are probably going to advise her to be gracious to those who bend the knee, just like Aegon was. Now let's skip ahead and quickly look at a big mystery. Again, I'll do some videos specific to Aegon's conquest and future Game of Thrones 101 videos, but for now, let's just skip right to the end. So Aegon never conquered Dorne, and the manner in which he stopped trying to is pretty interesting. So keep in mind, Aegon had 2 wives, his older sister Visenya, who was a badass. She used the Valyrian steel sword Dark Sister. Hundreds of years later, Bloodraven had that sword, took it to the Wall, became Lord Commander, vanished north of the Wall, and became the Three-Eyed Raven. So most likely, the sword that Meera took from Bloodraven's cave is Dark Sister. But I'm drifting. So Aegon's older sister was a badass, but his younger sister was his true love, Rhaenys. Rhaenys rode a dragon called Meraxes. In the First Dornish War, Meraxes was shot down and killed. Many think that Rhaenys died too, but there's a lot of speculation that she may have lived. So the war goes on for a few more years after she supposedly died. But then the Princess of Dorne died. Her elderly son, Prince Nymor, was sick of war, so he sent his own daughter and heir, Princess Miriam Martell, to King's Landing with the skull of Rhaenys' dragon, Meraxes. That's a pretty dangerous move, right? Sending your own daughter and heir to the enemy? She gets there and she tells Aegon that Dorne wants peace, but that they won't kneel. Aegon's about to say, like, are you kidding me? But then she hands him a letter. He reads it and squeezes it so hard that his hands start bleeding. We don't know if the word "it" refers to the letter or the Iron Throne, which if you look at the letters there, Iron Throne, IT. But either way, it's clear that he was pissed off or upset. He then burns the letter and immediately flies to Dragonstone. He returned to King's Landing the following morning, agreed to peace, and signed a peace treaty. So what the heck did the letter say? Here are some popular theories. Maybe it was a threat. Maybe Prince Nymor said that they have a way to kill the dragons. This seems unlikely though, or they would have just killed the dragons much earlier instead of watching Aegon and his sisters burn so many cities for years. So number 2, some think that Rhaenys survived the fall and has been tortured for years by the Ullers at Hellholt. Think of the Ullers as the Boltons of Dorne. So maybe Prince Nymor said that if you agree to peace, we will put your love out of her misery. Some think that it was a threat involving the Faceless Men, that Prince Nymor said, make peace or we will send a Faceless Man after your heir, Aenys. I doubt this though, because if Aegon folds to that threat, then most other lords could start using the same threat against him. Plus, these theories so far don't really explain why Aegon flew off to Dragonstone right away, except maybe because that's his true home and he wanted to think about the dilemma there instead of at King's Landing. Maybe, but my gut says that he flew there for a bigger reason. Here's an example. Some think that Prince Nymor stole some dragon eggs from Dragonstone. That's fun, but I don't buy this one because Balerion's huge. Someone isn't really a threat just because they have dragon eggs, even if they claim that they can hatch them. Balerion would wreck shop. On a similar train of thought, some people think that Prince Nymor stole a dragon-binding horn from Dragonstone and said, "Give us peace or we will blow that horn and steal Balerion from you." Just like we said earlier though, I don't think this one because if you could do that, they probably would. Who wouldn't want to eliminate your enemy if you could? And on top of that, who wouldn't want to bond with Balerion if you could? I would get someone to blow that horn and I'd fly somewhere desolate and live a peaceful life with the dragon, flying around every day for fun, just like Princess Rhaenys used to do. So here are the three that I like best. Maybe Rhaenys was being tortured for years by the Ullers at Hellholt, and then Prince Nymor rescued her. Or maybe she was just badly hurt on life support for years, but Prince Nymor realized that she was about to die, and as her last wish, she may have asked to be allowed to die at Dragonstone, where she was born. So Prince Nymor shipped her up there. Aegon flew over there, spent some time with her before she passed, and then called for peace out of respect. I like that one, but it's probably too fairy tale to be true. So let's get dirty. There were rumors that Rhaenys spent time with handsome men the few times that Aegon would spend a night with his older sister, Visenya. So the final two theories build off of this. Some people speculate that his son, Aenys, was not really his son, that it was a bastard from Rhaenys and some other dude. Because up until this point, Visenya, the older sister, had not gotten pregnant, so some people figured that Aegon was sterile. Possibly, Rhaenys admitted to Prince Nymor that the baby was not truly Aegon's. So the Dornish people had some leverage if that was the case. Make peace and we'll keep it a secret, or keep fighting and we'll expose that your wife slept around, that Aerys is not your trueborn son. This theory holds some weight, but it's sad, so let's end on a lighter note, even though this next one is sad from Aegon's perspective. So maybe Rhaenys lived, survived, and fell in love with someone in Dorne, and had a child. Aegon loved Rhaenys, so maybe this is why he was so pissed that he grabbed the note or the Iron Throne so tightly that his hand began to bleed. And why would he fly to Dragonstone? The theory states that he flew there to verify that the letter was truly from her. She may have told him a secret that only she would have known, like a carving on a wall inside a cave at Dragonstone that she made when she was a little girl, something like that. I like this theory the most. What do you guys think? What did the letter say? And why did Aegon immediately fly back to Dragonstone before returning the next day and agreeing to peace?